imebuniwa ili kucompensate mtu yeyote mwenye ako na insurance claim kwa kampuni ya bima ambayo imefungwa.
For real?
Yes.
And what's the process?
Enda kwa website ya PCF. Fata hiyo procedure ya claim vile iko kwa website yao. Step by step. Step by step. Mpaka mwisho. And you are sorted.
Policyholder Compensation Fund will work with you hadi siku utakuwa compensated. Kumbuka, PCF is the only insurance guarantee scheme in Africa. PCF, thamana ya bima yako.
It is any parent's joy to know that their child's education in future is secured. Education costs are increasingly expensive, while the future is filled with uncertainties. Take an education insurance policy today to assure your child's education in future. In case of death or permanent disability, your child's education policy remains valid. No further premiums are payable, and your child's education is assured. Read and understand the terms and conditions of your policy. This message is brought to you by the Insurance Regulatory Authority, IRA, Bima Bora kwa Taifa.
Good evening, this is Sunday Express. I'm Regina, Manyara, and my colleague on sign language is none other than Byron Abuli. Being the 5th of May 2024, we have so much in store for you, including an interactive session where we look at do's and don'ts amid the floods that have already so far claimed 228 lives, where 72 remain unaccounted for. That is going to be our conversation tonight, and we welcome your feedback. You can get us on our various platforms, including X at KBC Channel 1. We value your feedback. Now, at least 9 people have lost their lives due to the ongoing heavy rains in the last 24 hours, raising the number of casualties in the country to 228. Government spokesperson Dr. Isaac Mwaura, while briefing the nation on the effects of the floods, said 72 people are still missing, having been swept away by floods in different parts of the country. The government has also warned fishermen in the coastal region to keep off the ocean, since the area will be experiencing strong winds and rainfall over the next 3 days. Kevin Washira with the details.
The government is warning fishermen in the coast region to keep off the shores, since heavy rainfall is expected in the next 3 days. According to the government spokesperson Isaac Mwaura, the effects of Cyclone Hidaya, which has hit parts of Tanzania, will be experienced in Kwale, Mombasa and Kilifi counties.
Watu wa kule pwani tunataka kuomba kwamba mawimbi yatakuwa makubwa kutokana na utabiri wa hali ya hewa. Pia sio vizuri kutumia boti ndogo ndogo ama kwenda kufanya uvuvi, kwa sababu tayari hata tumempoteza mvuvi mmoja kule Kilifi kwa sababu mambo yamekuwa magumu.
The worst hit counties by floods include Homa Bay, Kajiado, Nakuru, Mandera and Nairobi counties. Mwaura says those affected by the evacuations in Nairobi County will be considered for social housing on priority basis.
Na hakuna mtu yoyote ambaye ataruhusiwa kurudi katika karibu na mito 17 ya Nairobi. Kwa hivyo wale ambao tumeanza kuona watu wakianza kupiga siasa eti kujaribu kuonyesha kama serikali haifanyi kazi. Serikali ya Mheshimiwa William Ruto haitorudi nyuma.
The government has raised alarm over safety of drinking water, and citizens are required to take precautions to prevent outbreak of diseases. Similarly, the government spokesperson maintains all national parks are safe and accessible, contrary to travel advisories issued by some embassies.
If you're using borehole water, take extra precaution because you don't know what kind of pathogens that this will have. But we have those water tablets. But for those that are private, kindly, augment your treatment.
The floods have affected at least 223,000 persons and killed 228 people, while 72 persons are still missing. Rishoka Washira, Sunday Express.
316 people have been evacuated to safety in Longwe 1, Baringo South, Baringo County, thanks to a multi-agency search and rescue mission led by Kenya Red Cross. This follows a successful evacuation yesterday in El Dume, Baringo South, following the heavy downpour that has marooned villages. This even as the death toll from the Mai Mahiu tragedy hit 58, following the recovery of more bodies along the floodways.
The multi-agency search and rescue mission in Baringo South safely evacuated 316 people following heavy rainfall that marooned over 4 villages. Efforts to reach other villages in the same sub-county such as Lipunyaki and Leswa continue. The Kenya Red Cross response team, with support from the county government of Kisumu and Kenya Coast Guard Service, is responding to families in distress in Kabura village after the River Nyando in Kisumu broke its banks. Close to 20 households are marooned. In the neighbouring Homa Bay County, Senator Moses Kajwang visited flood victims at Kasodo Primary School, where he observed that 500 families have poor sanitation facilities and risk illness.
The national government has the ultimate responsibility for disaster management. They've been telling county governments to do disaster management, yet the schedule of the constitution that splits powers between national and county governments makes disaster management a core mandate of that national government. We are calling upon the central government to fulfill its mandate and to ensure that education continues, but to provide alternative holding spots or holding grounds for the parents and the adults that are affected.
The same situation is unfolding in Busia County, where over 100 families are seeking cover in schools and are in need of urgent humanitarian support from the local and national government after being displaced by floods.
Kuna mahali popote ambapo tumeweza kuhamia, ila tumejaribu kuokoa malazi na mifugo, lakini bado tumeambulia patupu kwa sababu utaanza kuhama na wapi ukielekea wapi, hakuna mahali.
In Tana River County, Public Health Principal Secretary Mary Mudhoni visited Tana Delta to assess the flood situation and hand over cholera response equipment and supplies along with reproductive health kits. 800 households so far have been cushioned. And Archbishop Martin Kivuva of Mombasa Catholic Archdiocese is urging the government to expedite the construction of large dams to avert recurring floods that leave behind a trail of destruction and losses of lives. Meanwhile, the Kenya National Highways Authority is calling on the public to exercise caution as they approach the river along the Ahero-Kisumu Road, which has burst its banks and overtopped River Nyando Bridge. The Kamulu-Kangunda Road at Joska has also been opened following the subsiding of flood water. The Joska-Arthur River Bridge is reportedly stable and not overtopping, although water levels remain high. Motorists are urged to approach the area with caution. Along the Nakuru-Eldoret Highway, the completion of remedial works at Timboroa has prompted the reopening of the A8 highway to traffic. Yusufar reporting for Sunday Express.
We'll be keeping tabs on that in Mai Mahiu and Narok areas. Now, the current heavy downpour in most of the parts of the country has had far-reaching effects in learning institutions. The Ministry of Education says the negative effects include damaged infrastructure, submerged buildings, and sanitation facilities destroyed in learning and teaching materials. At the same time, some schools are currently being used to host flood victims displaced from their homes. Kamchamanza looks at some of the guidelines issued by the Ministry of Education, even as schools remain closed indefinitely.
This is Lake Bogoria Primary School in Baringo South. The school field is flooded and the waters are slowly moving closer towards the classrooms.
Watu umetoka kwa manyumba yote. Watu wako ngambo ile, unaona hajavuka ngambo hii. Daraja imeenda.
Some of our rivers have changed course. And this will lead to people being displaced. And along the Perkera scheme, we've had a lot of washouts of the irrigation scheme around there.
Some of the roads here have been cut off. It is the same for Madumadu area in Kilifi County, where this road leading to a number of schools has also been cut off.
We have 10 schools marooned, but the worst is Madunguni secondary, kwa sababu hata wezi ingia make maji yameenda kwa madirisha. Kule kwengine ni vipi watoto watafika hapo.
The rains, which have also led to displacement of people owing to the flood situation, has necessitated the use of classrooms to shelter the victims. Osodo in Homa Bay County and Gutu in Mathioya Muranga County are some of the primary schools acting as temporary shelter for flood victims. These situations perhaps replicated in other parts of the country.
Tuna watu 100 ambao wamepoteza nyumba. Nyumba zimeanguka na kwa sasa hao watu wanaishi katika shule ambayo iko hapa karibu na sisi, shule ya Amoni.
With school reopening postponed twice, the second one being indefinite owing to the prevailing weather conditions, the Ministry for Education prior to the postponement, however, had issued measures to ensure learners and teachers' safety in basic education learning institutions. On swollen rivers and flash floods, parents needed to ensure their children report safely to school despite accessibility challenges. For schools hosting displaced persons, education field officers are required to liaise with national government administration officers to identify alternative accommodation for affected persons to ensure the facilities are available for normal learning activities. Schools with damaged infrastructure and learning materials will share resources with neighboring schools, use multi-grade and multi-shift model where applicable. Those that were completely submerged should strategize on how to recover once learning resumes. School administrations had also been directed not to host learners in schools where sanitation facilities have been flooded to avoid waterborne diseases. Heads of institutions were to report on the number of learners affected by inaccessibility, weather conditions and displacements. The reports were to be submitted to the CES Education between 8th and 10th of May.
Now to matters health, the Kenya National Union of Nurses has given the Salaries and Remuneration Commission a one-week ultimatum to issue them a letter of no objection to their collective bargaining agreement, failure to which they will join the doctors' industrial action. Addressing the media Sunday afternoon, the union officials said they had not joined the ongoing doctors' strike because their CBA negotiations with the Ministry of Health and SRC were ongoing.
The medical practitioners' industrial action could get more intense in the coming weeks if the Kenya National Union of Nurses make good their threat down their tills if the Salaries and Remuneration Commission fails to accept their collective bargaining agreement.
So we give our patients a week before we make any other pronouncement, which will be done by our NGC, our National Governing Council, which has the authority to give us the go-ahead to call or a strike or to take adverse industrial action like strike.
Addressing the media Sunday afternoon, the union officials disclosed that they did not join the ongoing strike because their CBA negotiations with the Ministry of Health and SRC were ongoing. The union further told intern nurses to collect their posting letters and resume their training.
Terms of payment of internship that is on today is the previous terms, where they were paid 104,000 and 5,500 for every month for 1 year.
They too listed their demands to the Ministry of Health.
The government agreed with us through the Ministry of Health that all UHC staff were going to be put on permanent and pensionable from June this year.
people only who are on contract in Kenya for 6 years are commissioners. If they want to keep our nurses and other UHC staff on 6-year contract, then they must pay them like commissioners.
This comes amid uncertainty over the fate of the return to work formula that was expected to be deposited before the Employment and Labour Relations Court on Monday after doctors refused to join the government in signing the document to end the strike that is now in its 2nd month. With nurses threatening to join the doctors' industrial action, more action needs to be done to salvage the health sector. Reporting for Sunday Express, my name is Kasichana Masha. To matters politics, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has asked Kenya Kwanza leaders in Kiambu and other counties from the Mount Kenya region to stop early campaigns and high-octane politics and instead focus on service delivery to the electorate. Backing the Deputy President's clarion call, lawmakers from the region expressed delight at the United Democratic Alliance Party's move to have only one position of Deputy Party Leader at a time, as opposed to 3 as earlier prescribed in the party constitution. Giverson Minor reports.
Kiambu County on Sunday hosted Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and a battalion of Kenya Kwanza lawmakers drawn from the Mount Kenya region. Gachagua asking leaders from the counties in the region to stop petty politics and infighting that could derail service delivery to the people.
And that is why some of us have no time for petty politics. We are busy people. Tuko na kazi mingi sana ya kufanya. We have no time to listen to nonsense and theatrics and drama. We want to focus on the job.
This is after a section of leaders, including Governor Kimani Wamatangi, Majority Leader in the National Assembly Kimani Ichung'wah, and Senator Karungo Thang'wa, engaged in an exchange of words over the gubernatorial aspirations.
Kwa sababu tukifika pale na sio kusema ati siku tutakuwa nasalimia governor ambaye ameketi, nitakuwa tunamsalimia na namwambia come 27 wacha tupatane. Mungu akisema ni mimi sawa, Mungu akisema ni wewe sawa, lakini wacha tu niandike my vision in bold numbers.
The counties of Kiambu and Nairobi are leading our country in matters and accountability and misuse of public resources.
Zile serikali zilikuwa za kina Kabogo, serikali zilikuwa za kina Waititu, zilikuwa za kina Nyoro. That is the report that is out. So when we are saying we want to discuss about the issues of the county of Kiambu, let us be honest. Tusiweke tu kupamba hivi so that you get an opportunity to say things.
Leaders tutulize body kidogo. Let's temper down the politics. High octane politics for now. Hii ni wakati wa kufanya kazi. Ningeomba tufanye kazi.
However, members of parliament drawn from the Mount Kenya region expressed their satisfaction on the decision by the United Democratic Alliance to have only one deputy party leader at a time. The leaders vowing that Gachagua will remain as the choice of the region for deputy president in 2027.
Na Mount Kenya tumefurahi sana, sababu hata chama chetu cha UDA juzi kimefanya vile sote tunaamini ati rais ni mmoja na deputy president ni mmoja. Pia kinakubali one party leader and one deputy party leader.
In the coming UDA grassroots elections, Gachagua said the region must fight to take its position in the party to have bargaining power. Giverson Minor, Sunday Express.
Well, that from the political scene takes us to a fast breather right here on Sunday Express. And food for thought. If you were to wake up to a flooded house that you currently occupy, what would be your first immediate action? As you ponder on that, remember these are some of the questions we're going to be answering for you tonight as we speak matters of safety amid the current floods. Do not go away. We'll be right back.
Jinsi ya kungoja kwenye star 570 hash kuna ploti na ni up to 1.1 million Kenyan shillings with a genuine title deed na inakungoja star 570 hash ukana chake.
Your home is your domain. You have worked hard to give your family a home. Why not protect it? consider purchasing a domestic package policy. This covers your home, the contents of your home, your domestic workers against death or injury in the course of employment, visitors to your premises against injury or death and loss or damage to their belonging. Read and understand the terms and conditions of your policy. IRA, Bima Bora kwa Taifa.
Welcome to the 5th Engineering Partnerships Convention. My name is Engineer Margaret Ugai. I'm the Registrar and CEO of Engineers Board of Kenya. Our theme for the convention this year is Engineering at 60. We'll be looking forward to discussing where we've come from as a country over the last 60 years, the contributions that engineers have made towards the development of this country, and resetting ourselves to the future to embrace technology so that we can continue to make lives for Kenyans better. Karibuni nyote.
You're still here. This is Sunday Express. Now let's keep at it. Principal Secretary, State Department for Correctional Services, Salome Biako, has called for empowerment of men, urging them not to delegate their duties in order to strengthen the family unit. The PS made the remarks at Committee Maximum Prison during the commissioning of 77 inmates to the Catholic Men Association. The inmates called on the government to exercise power of mercy, as some have served in prison for a long time without pardon. Serafina Robi with the details.
At the Committee Maximum Prison, songs of praise and adoration rent the air. Cheerful faces of inmates, an embodiment of the spiritual nourishment and teaching they have received in readiness to be commissioned as members of the Catholic Men Association. The homily by the celebrants focused on the need for love and growth.
Basi ninawasihi mkae ndani ya na kumdumu ndani ya upendo wake Mwenyezi Mungu.
The message was amplified by the Principal Secretary, Correctional Services, Salome Biako.
Ni vizuri sana mkuwe na hizi 4 cardinal virtues. Na hizi cardinal virtues ni nini? Ya kwanza ni prudence, ya pili ni courage, ya tatu ni perseverance, na ya 4 ni self-control.
And may you, guided by the Spirit, lead and let others follow by your example.
Otherwise, they are very good people. What I discovered with them, ukionyesha vile wewe unataka kuishi wanaishi hivyo.
This evening as he called for the empowerment of men.
Men are the foundation of the society. Kama usipokuwa na wanaume ambao ni protectors, the society breaks down.
After the 77 men are commissioned to be members of the Catholic Men Association, we caught up with one of the inmates. 38-year-old Fidelis Monzia has been in prison for 16 years now.
Ukikuja hapa kitu cha kwanza unashtuka. Juu maisha ni tofauti, maisha ni magumu, hasa kama wewe hauna nia ya kubadilika. Kule nje sikuwa active member wa kanisa, nilikuwa tu naenda kanisa lakini sikuwa na ile imani kabisa dhabiti.
Fidelis' dream was to be an engineer but found himself on the wrong side of the law, wishes he had received spiritual guidance earlier on.
Yangekuwa tofauti, singeingilia mambo mengine, singekuwa careless, singeingia katika vikundi mbaya na kampuni mbaya ambazo ziliniingiza katika kupotoka.
His time in prison has not been in vain.
Discipline ndio nimepata. Discipline ya kupewa na watu wengine kama officers, lakini discipline ya kujidiscipline maisha yangu.
The reforms in correctional facilities are further mirrored in one of the catechists, Bernard Marjan, who was once imprisoned at committee.
My wife.
Naangalia tu hao wanaume nasikia tu niko na furaha kwa sababu it's from this place nilipata mume. Tumsifu Yesu Kristo.
Those who have been in jail for long are pleading with the government to pardon them through the power of mercy. Behind these walls are men who are committed to reforming, preaching the gospel of love and unity, and hoping that once they walk outside this wall, the society will be able to embrace them. Serafina Robi for Sunday Express from the Committee Maximum Prison in Nairobi.
The government will continue to leverage technology as a viable option to create jobs for unemployed youth in the country. Information, Communication and the Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo says over 390,000 youth have been trained and equipped with requisite skills for online jobs, out of which 135,000 have already secured well-paying jobs online. Owalo spoke as he worshipped with Nomiya Church congregants in Kadongo, Homa Bay County on Sunday. The CS also donated construction materials to aid the rebuilding of the church that was recently destroyed by strong winds.
We are going to have a digital hub in each and every ward. We have worked already with members of parliament and they have facilitated the review of the CDF Act to the extent that 3% of annual cash allocation for CDF will be utilized for construction of the hubs. Our work now as national government will be to connect the internet, deploy the devices, facilitate the training and connect our girls and sons to global technological companies for purposes of digital jobs.
Because of his good nature and good spirit and good heart, today most and many Luos are serving in the government of President William Samoei Ruto. And the Luos are saying that Ruto has done them the best he can as a human being. That come 2027, as we are now going to repay him back by supporting him 100%. May those of that opinion say hi.
The Kenya Internally Displaced Persons Organization, KIDIPO, is appealing to the government to finalize the resettlement and compensation for some of their members who were left out. This and more in stories in our county news roundup.
Speaking at a press conference in Nakuru, Kenya Internally Displaced Persons Organization patron Peter Tenner explained that the subdivision of the land earmarked for resettlement was stymied by legal disputes.
Kwa hivyo tunaomba rais wetu aingilie kati kwa sababu this one is now a national crisis kwa sababu hatujakuwa resettled vile inavyostahili.
Meanwhile, the government intends to enhance the capacity of the Kenya Yearbook Editorial Board by supporting it to establish new revenue sources and cease from depending on the Treasury for funding.
The President has directed that all these government agencies should move away from that thinking. It's outdated, it makes people lazy. So we are here in Naivasha to make sure that we look for new avenues for them to make money, and so that they can also create jobs for and complement government efforts, look after themselves well and play their mandate better.
Elsewhere, security officers, prisoners from the Kilifi prisons and other stakeholders joined hands in a monthly cleanup exercise at Malindi town in Kilifi County. The exercise aims at bringing back the lost glimmer of the resort town that was once titled as the cleanest town in Kenya.
We have also to clean our towns which are very close to or adjacent to the protected area to make sure that our beaches are clean and even the peripherals adjacent to the protected area are clean as well.
Finally, Manyara County commemorates the International Firefighters Day with a campaign to raise public awareness on disaster management.
We have been working closely with the chiefs to open up water passage. The water passage, the drainage systems that is being cleaned every now and then to make sure that in case of rain, we don't face the problem of floods.
For Sunday Express, I'm Christine Matunda.
That now officially takes us to our second break, then after which we're going to be having my colleague Bernardo Kumu on the other side of the studio with the latest sports news. Do not go away.
Sports News is brought to you by Mozart Bet.
Watch the Mozartbet Cup as teams from both the top tier and low tier battle for the ultimate prize of representing the country in Africa's CAF Confederations Cup. Catch all the action live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1, beginning with a round of 16 matches, the quarter-final, semi-final and the final. Mozartbet Cup, live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Sports News is brought to you by Mozartbet.
Well, just in time for Express Sports, let's begin with the marathons where Kenya's Kiprono Kipkemoi and Dorcas Jepchirchir bagged silver in their respective races in this year's Prague Marathon held Sunday in the Czech Republic. Ethiopia's Lemi Berhanu won the men's race while his fellow countrywoman Bedatu Badane won the women's race.
2016 Boston Marathon champion Lemi Berhanu took charge of the race from the onset, controlling the lead pack that comprised Kenya's Kiprono Kipkemoi, Joshua Kipkemboi and Uganda's Shebet Abel. At the 40-kilometer mark, Lemi widened the gap, crossing the line in 2 hours, 8 minutes and 43 seconds. Kiprono Kipkemoi clocked 2 hours, 10 minutes and 27 seconds to finish second, while Joshua Kipkemboi completed the podium positions. In the women's category, Ethiopia's Badane Bedatu clocked 2 hours, 23 minutes and 41 seconds to win the race ahead of Kenya's Dorcas Jepchirchir and Ethiopia's Amare Shiwarge, who took second and third positions respectively.
Also, Kenyan teams failed in their quest to qualify for this year's Paris Olympics after a dismal performance in their respective events at the World Athletics Relay Championship in Nassau, Bahamas. The finals of all the events will be held on Monday morning.
As he gets the best start, he really does fly.
The top two teams in each of the heats in various events progressed to the final and were guaranteed a place in the Paris Olympic Games, but none of the Kenyan side managed to attain qualification. The 4x100 meters team that was anchored by Ferdinand Manyara finished last in their heat, timing 39.38 seconds in a race won by Japan, while China was second, both qualifying for the final and booking a slot in the Olympic Games. The Kenyan team also had Hesbon Ochieng, Mark Otieno and Meshak Babu.
Oh, the last day or two, brilliant from them, 37.8.
Not so much stuff happening at the middle of the race, but our position wasn't good, man. We were expecting a faster time, but I don't know what happened. Let's continue working hard. Our day will come.
The 4x400 meters team anchored by David Sanayek was fifth in their heat, finishing in 3 minutes 03.29 seconds. The team also had Weissman Were, Boniface Mweresa and Brian Onyari.
Italy from Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Those are the front two.
The mixed relays team of Kennedy Kimeu, Mercy Chebet, Kevin Kipkoril and Maureen Thomas also finished last in their heat, clocking 3 minutes 19.90 seconds in a race won by Ireland, while Belgium was second. The finals of all events will be held tomorrow morning.
Brilliantly there, because Camille Laus was coming under extreme pressure down the outside.
King Onimwangi for Sunday Express.
Irish who celebrate.
And tough run by Kenyans in Bahamas. Moving on to football, where Police FC humbled hosts Kakamega Homeboys 2-1 in a closely contested FKF Premier League match played at Mumia Sports Complex. In another match, FC Leopards defeated Bandari FC 1-0 at Dandora Stadium. However, two FKF Premier League matches that were scheduled to take place Sunday at Kenyatta Stadium in Machakos were called off due to the poor condition of the playing surface caused by the ongoing heavy rains across the country. Nairobi City Stars was set to host Ulinzi Stars, while Posta Rangers was scheduled to play FC Talanta.
We arrived here in the morning when we had a heavy downpour the whole night, and the pitch, as you look at it, it's unplayable. After consulting, my bosses have consulting all the stakeholders, we have agreed that the match cannot go on until further notice.
And National Olympics Committee of Kenya, First Vice President Shadrack Maluki says they will fully support the Kenya beach volleyball team ahead of the forthcoming Olympic qualifiers slated 18th to 24th of June in Morocco. Maluki gave the assurance on the second day of the homologated beach volleyball tour at Strathmore University grounds here in Nairobi.
Maluki, who was present on the second day of the homologated beach volleyball tour at Strathmore University grounds in Nairobi, noted that the sport has improved in the country, saying the National Olympics Committee of Kenya, in collaboration with the government, will ensure they promote the sport in different parts of the country.
The players are really doing their best. They are very good players here today, and we believe from what we have seen, beach volleyball will be represented in the Paris Olympics for Team Kenya.
The NOC First Vice President says this year Kenya will assemble a strong team as they target a lion's share on the medals in Paris.
We are a sports-loving nation. We love sports, and we have a team that has been put together by the National Olympic Committee to represent our country. So I want to tell Kenyans to continue praying for all of us and to come in big numbers to Paris. Come to Paris and cheer our own.
The players used the homologated beach volleyball tour to amass FIVB points and make a cut in the Kenyan team that will take in the Olympic qualifiers slated for 18th to 24th of June.
This time we are hoping that both the men and women can actually qualify and go ahead and represent us very ably in the Olympics. One good thing with the beach volleyball is that it's easy to start. Institutions have come up and within a few days they are able to get the facilities.
For Sunday Express, I'm Daniel Mwendwa.
Still in volleyball, where former African queens Kenya Pipeline bagged bronze as the curtains came down on the Africa Women's Volleyball Club Championship in Cairo, Egypt. Now, Kenya Pipeline defeated compatriots KCB by 3 straight sets to 1 in the third place playoff match. The two teams were relegated to the third place playoff after losing their semi-final matches. Another Kenyan side, Prisons Kenya, finished 5th overall in this year's competition. Zamalek retained the African title after defeating powerhouse Al Ahly in a 5-set thriller in the final. Zamalek will now represent Africa at the 2024 FIVB Volleyball Women's Club World Championship slated for December in China. Well, and that does it for Sunday Express Sports. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Bernard Okumu.
Sports News was brought to you by Mozart Bet. You can lift the plane. The higher you fly, the higher your win. The sky is the limit. Mozart Bet.
Indeed, thank you very much, Bernard Okumu, for that update on what is happening in the sporting arena. And now we shift focus to what matters that are quite current, given the latest floods update there that indicated over 228 persons had so far confirmed dead owing to the ongoing floods, while 72 individuals are still missing. So quick question is, how do we remain safe amid those floods? And our guest tonight is none other than Commissioner Disaster Operations at St. John's Ambulance. That is Lucy Murumbi, to take us through this conversation. Thank you very much for making time.
Thank you for having me, Regina.
Now, the statistics are there.
Yes.
And we know that humanitarian organizations as well as government have people on ground, experts on ground, to try and, alleviate or rather mitigate on the impact of the ongoing floods. As one of the organizations that is already on ground, what is your assessment of the situation?
First of all, I must say we quite commend what the government is doing. On the ground, the camps that have been set up, they are quite enough. we have seen the response, especially on the multi-agency response, which is quite good. Having visited, like yesterday, we were in Mathare. We can see that the general atmosphere is that the government is supporting, and we are sure that as it comes a closing, the people are actually receiving the help that they need. Every mitigation measure that the government has decided to do is actually ongoing. So as an organization, ours is to support the government, because St. John's Ambulance is actually just a government reserve mandated by the government to actually make sure that the community safety is key. Yes.
Now, does this qualify to be a national disaster? Government is yet to refer to it as such, but from an expert point of view?
Unless the government declares it that, for now we are responding, and what we are making sure that every person that is accounted for is actually getting the support that they need, especially on their wellness, which is very important. So because the government has not yet declared it as national disaster, it means that we are able to mitigate, and actually we are prepared to counter anything that would happen.
What about awareness? Are citizens aware of where to seek help and how to go about it?
Yes, we've seen communication has been coming in. National Disaster Operations Center is actually been populating the numbers that we need to call. We have also the National Disaster Management Unit that's been supporting ourselves, running campaigns in the media. The Nairobi County has been doing that. The Ministry of Health has been doing that. So in terms of communication, this is happening on the ground. So what I know is sometimes we can be negligible in not reading or listening to what the experts are saying. So what I can just say is we need to ensure that we are listening to the call out, especially knowing that the water flooding could happen, flash floods are happening. So let's listening to the news, let's hear what the government is saying, let's hear what the experts are saying, and ensure that we are walking right as citizens, yes.
Some days ago, the government issued an evacuation order and actually started implementing that. As an organization working and supporting the government in these particular measures, have you met any resistance, or what are the major challenges that you are, getting to experience as you are working on ground?
Okay, I must say yesterday we were the responding team at Kwaruben. Actually, we arrived there just when the first call came in. We were at Mathare, so what our team did, we actually moved to Kwaruben. What I must say is that on the ground, this is inevitable. Moving away from the the riverbed where they built is actually needed. Why do we say this? Because the way the waters are rushing in, the currents are very high. Most of the losses have actually occurred on the housing that actually has been on the riverbed. So on the ground, I know it may look like the government is a bit hard, but the loss of life staying there is going to make it worse. So what I know is proper measures have been made on moving the teams out. I know the National Police is actually supporting the teams to move away. There might be changes. I know people get used to living in one area, but I know the changes will be key in ensuring that the communities are safe. Right now, there's a bit of animosity, trying to see where do I live, where do I go, but eventually it is for the good of the people who are living in these areas. Yes.
Now, Lucy, I'd want us to look at possible scenarios, and since we've been asking our audience, to raise issues and questions on what they need to know when it comes to matter safety, because this is a core agenda for tonight's conversation, keeping people safe. Let's take a look at possible scenarios. Motorists, what are the do's and don'ts? I'm imagining you're driving, for example, last week on Sunday on Thika Road, it was flooded. The street lights were off. There was no prior communication. So motorists were just driving through, and there you are. The vehicle starts taking in water. What do you do?
First thing first, hashtag turn around, don't drown. Why do I say that? If you see the waters at a level whereby immediately you see the first car, you see the waters have reached the tires. your instincts will tell you, I don't know how far. What we usually do as drivers, you wait to see how deep is this car going to go. So what normally happens is you'll wait. If the lorry goes, then I, having the small car, will think it's safe for me to go. But water levels, as long as it's entered your car, that tells you, that's a first telltale sign. You should actually be telling yourself, where I'm going in, I don't know how deep that water is. So that's why I said, turn around, please don't drown. Yeah, move away, wait until the water subsides, or find an alternative area. Every communication that's being given, you're being told, if you find waters, please don't rush in. Little water, especially, can actually float a car. 1 foot can actually make a car float. So the main thing is move away from any waters, especially current flowing water. What happened on Thika Road, that was actually, what can I say? It was actually alarming to see the water levels.
Yes.
And seeing passengers and buses trying to ferry people in. Your safety comes first. Even if you don't reach home, what does that mean? Is that the people know that you're on the other side. So you better be safe, arrive home tomorrow, than wade through the water, and then next thing we hear that you're no more. Yeah.
Quite scary, because I was part of the motorists who just went, and that was totally unexpected.
Okay.
But then there was no chance to turn around.
Okay.
There was no chance to turn around. And then the question is, there's been talk and conversation that you need to keep your engine running, that you should not switch off your engine.
Switching off the engine, switching on, as long as water gets in, the engine will definitely go off.
Okay.
So the most important thing is you get out. If you see the waters, I'd rather you stand on top of your car on a higher ground. Try and move away and ensure that you're not in the flow of water. That's very, very key. Very, very key. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is good to know. Now, other case scenario, we're looking at what happened on the Manyara stretch. I don't know if the land just gave off. We'd call it a mudslide.
Yes.
I mean, what would you do in such a situation?
Unfortunately, it happened at night. Most of the people were sleeping. So most of the people, I believe, that have passed away are the people who, because it's on the middle of the night.
Yes.
But if you're awake, the first thing first is ensure you see where is the flow of the water. Can you see, go on higher ground, move away from where the currents are flowing in, ensure that you can be able to stand wherever you're standing. What has happened in Manyara is very, it was something nobody was expecting, yeah? But I believe that any area, as long as there's a dam, try and understand what are the demographics, what are people saying about that area, so that you're not buying maybe land somewhere that you already know that could happen, because I believe on the same stretch something like that has happened a few years back. But the main thing is yourself, when you wake up, get out. Yeah. How do you get out? Look for the safest area where the flow of water is not going. You see, don't go towards the current. Yeah. Try and make sure that at all times you are away from the flow of water. And then, because what normally happens at times, you want to carry your things.
Yes.
So immediately open the door. Yeah.
And just step out.
And just step out.
That would be quite, we're looking at that because then you preempted my next question is that those who find themselves, you wake up one morning or in the middle of the night, your house is flooding.
Yes.
It's either flooded or flooding.
Yeah.
The risks there. Now let's look at the risks.
Okay. Risk one, the doors could be jammed because of the water flow. What you need to ensure is, can you be able to get out? How do you get out? Open the door, the one that you can. Try and stay on higher ground in your house. Do you step on the table? If the water now starts flowing too much, you can feel the water, you need to get out of that house. Yeah. But before that, I always say you've got to be prepared. I know emergency readiness is something that sometimes we never look at. Yeah?
We never even...
You never imagine that you could actually even have a life vest.
Actually, on a very light note, and I know this doesn't... during the 2019 census, there was a question in the census survey that asked us as Kenyans, do you own a boat?
Yes.
And I know I'm saying this, it's not the right thing to say at this point, but there was that question. But we never look at, emergency readiness, or rather readiness on an individual capacity. So what do I need?
First thing first, you've got to ensure you have key first aid kit.
A first aid
Very
kit.
important. What else do you have? A torch. Make sure you have enough water supply in your house. Make sure that you have a packed bag whereby you'll have change of clothing, dry clothing. If you're 2, 3 in the family, ensure that you have enough package for them. At the clothing, you also have like gumboots for wading on water. You've got to make sure that you have a raincoat, something to make sure you keep dry. And then I always call it an emergency pack. Torches is very key because you will need to see where you're going. So if you can have this emergency pack in your home, safety pack, we call it a flight kit. That would be very, very important for you. Yes.
But I think a majority of us will be thinking, where is my ID? Where are my certificates? Where are my cell phones and such?
That also goes into into the kit. Yeah. Make sure that whatever documents that need to, you always have in any emergency. You need to know where your documents are. So if you can be able to have this prepared in early time, I know these are some of the things that we teach in St. John's. What is it that is key? Ensuring that you have your emergency tools with you. Emergency tools, this is some of them. Yeah, because I know documentation is very key.
It's very key.
Yeah.
Now, we're in this house, it's flooding or flooded, and I can't access the door. I can't find my way out. And on top of that, I have electricity. The risk of electrocution.
Yes.
How do I go about that? The meter box usually is on the outside.
We always have one inside the house.
Okay.
There's always an off switch.
So locate the main switch.
Yeah, locate the main switch, switch it off. Make sure that any wirings, unplug them. Because you see the flow of electricity could still be there. Unplug everything from your sockets. Yes. And ensure that everything that is supposed to be off is off. Yeah.
Okay. Now, another situation we are looking at is the issue of mudslides, especially on our main roads. Unconfirmed reports right now indicate that a majority of Kenyans are stuck on the Narok-Mai Mahiu road. It has been cut off. That is what we're hearing. There's a mudslide there, so they can't cross either way. It's not the first time that we are having that kind of occurrence in that area. But then, how can I survive that, or what should I do to remain safe in such a situation?
Like I said, I still come back to my tag, turn around. Please don't drown.
If I can't turn around?
If you can't turn around, meaning why I say turn around is move away from that area. If you're caught on one side,
yes,
and you don't really need to go on the other side. If it is work, just call your bosses. If it is your family, let them know, assure them that you're okay. Because if the road is impassable, is not possible to pass, there's been a caving, there's no point of risking your lives. Yeah. If it is public transport, they're transporting passengers, you'd rather be on one side and wait for any alternative road to be opened. Yes.
So whom do you call in such a situation?
National Disaster Operations Center. That is key. That has been circulated. Of course, the number, I believe all of us have it.
We can have it again. We can have it on our...
0800 721571. That's the National Disaster Operations Center.
Take it again.
0800 721571.
71.
Yes.
Is this toll free?
I believe it is, yes. Yeah.
We've not tried it. We'll try it in the course of the show to just try and confirm that it's actually going through.
Yes.
And as I'm on call, what do I need? What information should I relay to the person who's going to answer that?
Most important, you've got to give your exact location. Where are you at? You've got to make sure you tell them what is the incident. You've got to tell them what you require for them to come with. The other thing, you've got to ensure that you tell them what exactly you require to them to come with. If it is a mudslide, what do they come with? Do they come with a truck to get the people out? Do you need to, water to be removed from the area? So at the end of the day, whatever message that you're laying, you've got to make sure that you tell them the number of pile-up. Is it cars that have piled up? Yeah, so that when they're coming in, if it is the national police that's coming in, they're coming in with equipment. Do they need an ambulance? Are there people who have been injured? Yeah, so when you're given the exact location, nobody's going to, if you're going to say you're in Nairobi, you need to tell them exactly where. Yes, yeah.
Okay. Be specific on the scenario and accurate information could save a life. That's what we're hearing.
Yes, and most important, you've also got to tell them what is the hazard.
Okay.
Yes, it could be that maybe there was a spillage of something. Yeah, which would mean then the hazards are a bit different from what you're calling them to come with. So then you'll be able, from there when you call, either you can call us if you need the ambulance services or you need the community emergency response team to come in. Then from there, the deployment happens. Yes.
How do we handle panic? I mean,
most important, calm. I know first reaction.
Where does it come from?
Having responded to quite a number of incidences, disasters in the country, first thing first, I know I've always told my team, you've got to ensure that your safety comes first. Fast response, especially when you see a dead body, injured people, you see the first blood. Immediately, first thing any human being will do is going to panic. You're either going to shock or you try and narrate the story like a flow of information. So first thing first, you've got to go internally. Breathe in, breathe out. Ensure that you are aware of your circumstance. What is happening? Be in the present. Understand at the moment, because once you log out of your brain, then it means the panic will be more. So the most important is remain calm, breathe in, breathe out, speak to yourself if you have to. I tell myself, Lucy, you're good. This is just an incident, it's going to pass. There's flash floods, but you need to get out of here. So as you're speaking to yourself, that's almost like psychosocial support you're giving to yourself. It may not be quite immediate. You may not quite go through it, but at the end of it, you've got to see yourself getting out of that situation. Walk out, and on the other side, then you can see the disaster. Every incident, what you need to always remember is don't look back. Keep walking away from the incident. Then when you stop is when now you assess yourself and ask yourself, am I injured? If it is maybe somebody else who is injured, you've got to try and help them out.
Now let's talk about, as we unpack now help, we're talking about the risk right now. We're looking at the risk of drowning.
Yes.
If one finds themselves in a situation where they are the only individual there who can assist,
okay,
what do I do? What can't I do?
Okay. Yes. First thing first, you've got to ensure that you're able to support the patient or the casualty that you find. If somebody is drowning, the first thing first is to try as much as possible to resuscitate this person. It's called a CPR. Basics is you'll have to have mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. And then the chest compressions.
How do we do that?
Chest compressions, you've got to make sure you stretch your hands. Make sure that you locate the center of the ribcage. Okay. Once you locate the center, then you do 30 of them. 30 compressions, yes.
Adult, child, 30?
30 compressions. It's usually 2 mouth breaths and 30 compressions. Initially, it's in about a minute when you get to the person and you do the rescue breath. The first, second rescue breath, sometimes they will be able to cough out the liquids. Yeah, so once they cough out, make sure that you turn them towards the sides so that the water flows out. This might not be the first instincts of every person. Yeah, the first thing is usually, I've seen in incidents, they'll try and drag the person out, try and shake them. Yeah. Yeah, but you've got to remember that it is actually the reason why they have drowned is because there's no flow of oxygen in them. So it means everything is covered up, the esophagus, the nose. So what do? You've got to make sure that you clear the airways. Yes.
Would you advise, there's been conversation, I'm a swimmer, I'm okay, I can dive in and all that. Let's unpack that. Okay. You have the basics, or actually you're a pro swimmer, but then we're dealing with raging waters.
Okay. If you've never been a lifeguard, don't be a hero in life saving. As much as possible, if you cannot be able to reach the person, you always say that throw something in so that either a long rope, a floater or a stick, in order to be able for them to be able to pull it. If you're a good swimmer, if you're a lifeguard, then you've been trained for that. If you're just a swimmer, you've been swimming, the flow of the water is different, you're used to swimming in different circumstances. The main thing is you've got to have a pair buddy. hold each other. I think you've seen that happening a lot.
Yeah.
You go in where your buddies, you hold each other and get into the water, try and get the person out.
Yeah.
As much as possible, we try to save lives. Ensure that whoever it is on the other side, we try and get them out. If you can't, the last resort is now swimming. Yeah.
But only if you have the requisite training,
Yes.
not just because you swim some in the ocean or the pool. Now, the Ministry of Health has also issued a health alert of a possible outbreak of waterborne diseases. So how do we also keep, other than just the risk of drowning, how do we remain safe in light of this development?
Okay, I know for sure that in this area sometimes the water can get contaminated. So what we are doing as St. John's Ambulance, we are sensitizing the public on that. From the community level, I know that sometimes we have children in the camp. This is quite key. The children will be playing with things, they'll be holding things. If something falls in the dirty water, please don't put it back into your mouth. Ensure that you're cleaning. Ensure that clean bottled water or clean water that is being brought by the Bowsers, they're doing that. Ensure that you have clean water at all times. In terms of your living conditions, I know that we visited one of the camps. Aeration is very key. Open the windows, ensure that they're breathing in. They're actually also leaving the compound, stretching to ensure that physically you're also fit, mentally you're fit. And at the end of it, everything that you're eating. I like what Nairobi County is doing, Dishina County, that is very good because it's clean. So what we are doing, we are actually building community resilience in ensuring that they understand that they need to be cleaning up themselves and cleaning after themselves. The washroom, sanitation, visit the toilet, hand washing, the same way we were doing it at COVID. That is very key.
Now, psychosocial support for survivors as well as the first response team.
Yes.
Do you have programs?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We have training programs that actually deal with that. We are privileged that we are an organization that has quite a number of support of volunteer doctors, nurses that are part of us. Our clinical guidelines are actually standardized by them. So the trainings that we do, we also have counselors. Ourselves, like I am trained in psychosocial first aid, whereby we are able to help the initial communities or people who are injured. For us as first responders, we go through a program whereby we detox in terms of what we go through. We've got to speak it out. We've got to go through this. Otherwise, it builds up, and eventually we end up with mental issues. In terms of the trainings that we do, we also train in the community. Our response in this year, what we've done is we're doing first aid mashinani. First aid mtaani in Nairobi, whereby we are actually door to door, because our key theme has always been one first aider in every household. So this way, we know that everyone who we have come across with, if they come across our trainings, we know that we leave a first aider in that home, we leave a trained personnel in that home, whether it's an ayah, we do that. We do trainings for them. So at the end of it, we know that every first aider, we've helped the community. So in terms of this, whatever we've done, yesterday we did about 133 community members that we actually did psychosocial support. And you could see them. You could see that they were actually gaining courage in actually laughing in the camp, and which was quite good.
Very well. Now, as we're working up towards the end of this show, I know we can talk about so much. Let's look at the aftermath when it comes to building capacity. We're saying we learn every day. Yes. Every day is a learning, a learning opportunity. What would you say would be key lessons now that we find ourselves dealing with this situation?
Okay. I like the strategic plan that the government is doing, whereby we can actually benchmark and learn from other countries. This is new for us. We are used to disasters, but not flooding. And this is not just Kenya. We've seen that flooding is happening around the country. So what can we borrow? Ensure that our warning systems are good. Early warning systems are key, whereby we understand that at the end of it, when these warning systems are done, communicate on the press, make sure that you're calling out, and at the end of it, mitigation is going to be easier. So the budgetary line that we are having will be able to support this key readiness and key preparedness in the country.
Take home. Now we have 33 counties that are, receiving heavier than normal rains. I mean, to stay safe, take home, what do we need to know?
What we need to know is ensure that, okay, the affected already in camps. Those ones who are not affected, move away from the water areas if you're living in the water areas. And then at the end of it, you just need to ensure that you are reading through, getting trained, like we are saying we are training, and at the end of it, your neighbor, your community, work together as Nyumba Kumi, work together to make sure that all of you are working in with what the government policies are saying.
Yeah. I like that you mentioned your hashtag. Kindly let's take that hashtag once again, and also that call line.
Yeah.
We hope it's toll free. Maybe we can take that again as we come to a close.
Okay, so we always say in flood safety, turn around, don't drown.
Turn around, don't drown.
Don't drown.
Whatever you do, don't drown.
Yeah, don't drown. That's key, because we need you. Your safety is key. We need you as a people. So if you see flooded water, what do? Turn around so that you don't drown.
And if you can't turn around?
Make sure that you go on higher ground.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Toll-free number,
yes.
0800 721571. That is for NDOC. Our number, St. John's Ambulance, 0200 22 10 20 0020 22 10,000. 10,000. Yes.
Thank you very much, Lucy Murumbi. That has been our guest tonight when you're talking about matters of safety, given the current situation that we find ourselves as a country, and the floods update there, as per government, indicates that 228 lives have so far been lost. 72 people are still unaccounted for, thus calling you and I to be safe. And we're going to adopt that particular hashtag, is a turnaround, don't drown. Don't be a hero. We need you. Your family needs you. Well, further details, I'm sure, are available on our website. That is KBC Channel 1, as well as St. John's there, as we try and live through these particular floods. And my take home actually is that I need to have a fly kit that needs to have a first aid kit, a torch, enough water supply, a change of clothes, probably a raincoat there, food supplies, and some gumboots. We can also take that home. I'm your host, Regina Manyara. My guest has been none other than Lucy Murumbi, who is the Commissioner of Disaster Operations at St. John's Ambulance. Have a safe and warm night.
On KBC Channel 1, we are a TV station like no other. Get a taste of the best in entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Will you promise me?
I swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you.
I'm sure you knew about it. That's why you're making fun of me.
Experience the drama.
Get out.
Who is the man in this one?
And the laughter.
Hii wigi umevatishwa.
Zile wakati tulikuwa tunaapishwa tunapewa mheshimiwa.
Move to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.
Wow. Yeah!
We are the full package.
Oh, yes.
And Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Just like up in a movie, a big bad exclusive. We're making